You're right. Yeah, right. You're George. Yeah, of course. Of course. It's actually also Machi Glapdrin's birthday today. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a fun slogan tonight, so we'll have some fun. How is everybody? Are you guys doing okay? You ready to practice? Okay, so a couple things. Announcements. This Saturday is a workshop with Eve Ekman and I called Heart Broken Open. It's a workshop where Eve Ekman, a wonderful teacher, a friend of mine, is going to share on cultivating emotional balance, how to work with our emotions. And then also I will teach the Tara mantra meditation guided practice as a way of integrating the work that she lays out. So it will be practice, theory, all sorts of good stuff. Eve is a really wonderful teacher. I love teaching with her. I always learn something new, and her methodology is really dynamic and fun. Yeah, we've taught at Esalen together. We've taught San Francisco Dharma Collective at Against the Stream way back. We've done a lot of good stuff together. So that's this Saturday, April 27th, 1 to 5 p.m. And because you guys are, most of you are regulars, some of you are here for the first time maybe, but it's your lucky day because we're going to offer family and friends discount for those of you who are thinking about coming and maybe haven't decided to come yet. There's a 50% discount code. Hannah just told me it's Heart Open, just all lowercase, Heart Open, not open heart, Heart Open. Heart Open. So the other thing is my 21 Taras online course is starting on Thursday. It's every Thursday from 10 to 11:30 Pacific time, but you can stream it anytime after that. So you don't have to come live. If it's something you want to do, but you can't come live, feel free to check that out. It's on my website, chandraeaston.com. It's basically like an 8-month course where we go from Tara 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 21. You learn about each Tara, their mantras, their meditations, their symbolic meaning. And it's a real wonderful community. I've done it. It's the 3rd year and I've done it. And it's a very well-received, popular course run through Tara Mandala. All of that can be found on my website too, chandraeaston.com. And then last week, I said we'd be doing Feeding Your Demons next week, but we've decided to push it back to give us some more time to announce it. So it's going to be the first Tuesday of May 7th. We'll do Feeding Your Demons, and this time I'm going to bring some paper and some colored pencils for you, and we're going to integrate art into the 5 steps of Feeding Your Demons. So you'll get to engage with the imagery that comes up when you meet the demon and then meet the ally. I'll give you time to actually pause and draw. Sometimes we work with clay, sometimes we work with paint, but because this is kind of not an art studio, we're going to keep it kind of tidy. So I will bring paper and colored pencils for you to use, and then you'll give back at the end of the night. But if you're an artist or you like to do art, bring your own stuff. If you have a notebook you like to use, bring your own paper, notebook, your own materials. If you have that and you have things you like, feel free to bring those with you to class. And don't freak out. Like if you don't think you're creative or a good drawer, you could feed that demon. I'm not a good drawer. I'm not creative. That's something you could work with. It's not about creating some beautiful finished product. It's about letting the therapeutic aspect of art making continue the process of feeding your demons. It's like a launching. The imagery is a launching pad for you to engage with the meaning of the imagery that comes up. By drawing it, you see it there, and then it takes on a life of its own. It's really a fun way to engage with the 5 steps of feeding your demons. New people are welcome, artists, non-artists, everybody, friends, tell them about it. May 7th. Tuesday night, and I'm going to extend that class to about 7 to 9. I think we'll need the full 2 hours. So make sure you make arrangements if you're coming. Usually we end at 8:30, 8:45. Any questions, comments? Rebuttals about that? All right. Let's drop in. Close your eyes. Take some breaths. We'll begin by arousing our heartfelt motivation for our time together. In a sense, feel like you're entering into a ceremony or a ritual. And when we enter into a sacred space, we bring forth and align our intentions with, you could say, with nature, with the Tao, with the harmony around us and within us. And from the Dharma or Buddha Dharma perspective, that is from a heartfelt place, really aligning ourselves with our deepest feeling of interconnection with the world, with others, and then the kindness, the compassion that arises from that feeling of being a part of a greater whole, the human family. And so we engage with this practice, this ceremonial gathering from this vantage point of gratitude, of humility. I'm coming forth onto this threshold, kind of even an inner bow or an outer bow if you wish, recognizing that sometimes we need this for healing. We can't do it all on our own. And we arouse our heartfelt motivation of bodhicitta, this spirit of awakening, this heart turned towards liberation, the heart that quivers in the face of the suffering of the world. May we be of benefit in some way. Really claim this for yourself. Don't just follow along. Like, take a moment here and utter this heart prayer, your own heart prayer version of this quivering, compassionate heart. And then in recognition also of tendril, the interdependent causation that our breaths are intertwined, we are stardust, time, space are relative. We can also acknowledge that the land that we are on is not just the Alembic, it's not just Berkeley, it's not just the United States. It is a land whose ancestry goes deep, deep all the way into the core of Mother Earth and carries those memories. And before Europeans came, there were indigenous people who lived here and called this home. That most recent is Liz John Aloni, the people who lived and stewarded this land. So we bow and we honor that by naming it. And also by, in some way, giving gratitude for this earth and for those who stewarded the land before us. And expanding out, even acknowledging your own ancestry, your parents, your grandparents, great-grandparents, and beyond, all those kind of genetic ancestry that brought you to this moment, this life, this body. And then also acknowledging your karmic and spiritual ancestry, teachers, guides, mentors, friends, spiritual friends who have held your hand, helped you along in your path, in some way have all helped to bring you to this place and time here, in this seat. Giving thanks. the Dharma teachings, the Buddha, Shakyamuni 2,600 years ago, giving thanks, all the teachers since him who have brought the oral lineage to your doorstep, to your ear. Into your heart. This teaching has roots. Knowing those roots and acknowledging those roots are a part of the practice. This is cultural exchange, not cultural appropriation. We are honoring where these teachings come from. We know where they came from. Cultural exchange is a vibrant aspect of life in all of its forms, including spiritual life. We need it. And tonight we'll first chant a simple mantra and then we'll do the Sharana prayer. The first one is Om Namo Aryatara, which means Om, the universal sound of consciousness. Namo is to name, to honor. Arya means noble. Tara, Savioress, female Buddha of compassion. Om Namo Arya Tara. Repeat after me. Om Namo Arya Tara. Good. Now this one has a little bit of a rhythm, so if you're new, listen and then begin to join whenever you feel comfortable. It has a low part and a high part. So we're asking for the blessings of Buddha Tara. Om Namo Arya 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 Tara. Om Namo Aryatara, 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 Om Namo Aryatara. Om Namo Aryatara, 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 Om Namo Aryatara. And now the Sharanam prayer we'll do 11 times. It's at the top of your chant sheet if you need it. I'll call and you can respond. Do that line by line the first time through, and then we'll do it as a group together. If you're new, you can read the English translation just below and then join when you're ready, if you wish. Sharanagata dinartha, Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute, Narayani namostute. Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute. Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute. Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute. Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute. Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute. Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute. Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute. Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute. Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute. Sharanagata dinartha, Paritrana parayane, Sarvasyarti hare devi, Narayani namostute. Now we'll do a little movement before we do our stillness meditation. Everything is a meditation, really. You can take your socks off because we'll be stretching the toes a little bit. It's a good thing to do. It helps with the nerves. It helps with the meridians that affect the organs. So it's nice to have access to your toes if possible. If not, that's okay too. Okay, so as much as possible, sit up nice and straight. If you need to get up on a bolster to do so, you can. And then the legs are straight as possible in front of you. Take the hands behind you a bit and press against the floor so that you're sitting up tall and the chest is lifted. Yeah. Flex the feet. Good. Even that's a yoga posture right there. Breathe into the belly. Now, little movements. We're going to begin with the toes, only the toes, not the feet. We're just going to bend the right toes, the left toes. It's like you're flexing the toes. Point, 5, 6, 8, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19. Good. So we're doing 10 each. Now flex. Now the right foot points. 1, left foot, 2, 3, alternating, 4, 5, sit up nice and tall. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Really flex too. You want to engage the calf muscle. You feel that? Yeah, point even more than you think you can. Flex even more than you think you can. Good. Okay, come back. Now circle to your left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let the breathing just be steady and deep. 8, 9, and 10. Good. Flex. Now take your right foot. I'm not mirroring you. Okay, so take your right foot, cross it on the left thigh. If you can, interlace the fingers between the toes or grab the tops of the toes. Either way. Stabilize the ankle with the right hand and make circles. 1, 2. We'll do 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll do more because some some people were still getting their fingers in between their toes. So actually start to palpate up the back of the calf. I really like this. I know I say that every time, but I don't know about you. The calf is a very sensitive place, and they say it's the heart of the leg. It helps the blood to pump in and out of the leg when you walk. So it's like the heart of the leg. Reverse. And if you've ever pulled a calf muscle, how many people have had that pleasure? You really learn to appreciate that. I have too. My left calf is like, I don't know, like an inch small. I had it measured when I was at the Ayurvedic ashram. They measured when I got to the Ayurvedic retreat center. They measured like practically every part of your body before and after. It was crazy. I'm like, I didn't care about that. I don't know. But my left calf is an inch smaller in circumference than my right from the tear 2 years ago. I'm still trying to build it up. Did you have that experience? Yeah. Crazy, man. What?
I do have one smaller calf.
But it's not because of that? Interesting. Yeah. It's not your non-dominant leg?
That's the look. No, I won't do that.
I mean, are you right-handed?
I am right-handed.
Maybe you're right-legged. Might be the left calf is a little, you might favor the right leg, you know? Okay, switch directions. Doesn't it feel good to palpate the back of the calf up and down? Fun. You really want to crank that ankle. And I like to really squeeze down at the ankle joint too, because the lymph and the blood gets stuck down there. Alrighty. Release. Shake it out a little bit. We're going to do it again, other side, but a little different now. Same idea. Interlace the left fingers through the right toes. Instead of holding the right ankle, you're going to hold the right thigh behind. See that? And sit up straight. So your shin is parallel with the floor. More, Suzanne? More up? Foot higher, foot higher. Yes. Now bend your knee more. Yes. See, it's close in. Can you bring it wider? No, the knee's more turned out. Yes. All righty, here we go, you guys. On your marks, we're going to stir and we're going to go clockwise. Get set, go. 1, 2, 3. It's a really good move for the femur, the head of the femur and the ball of the hip socket. This is how you grow your lotus. How to grow a lotus is like one of the cheesy yoga workshops, you know. How to grow your Padmasana. And then reverse. 1, 2. It's probably from the 60s. Yeah. How to grow your lotus. 70s. Do you know that Yoga Journal was started here in Berkeley, in Old Iyengar? I knew the people who started it. Now it's owned by a Chinese company and it's totally changed from its original spirit. Okay, good. Yeah, let's change. Other side. Hold the back of the left thigh. Sit up tall. If you can, interlace the toes. You really, like, if this hurts your toes, good. Like, don't shy away from the toe torture. And 1, 2, 3. Again, clockwise starting. Good. I like that you're taking the time to get your fingers in there. Doesn't it feel good, sort of, in a painful way? Bring your foot a little higher. Yeah. So it's like you really want this movement to be happening from the femur, from the head of the femur in the hip socket. It's like I could almost like let go of my foot. Oh, I did. You see? Can you let go of your foot? Try it. And then reverse. Yeah, you can do it. All right. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, good. Straighten. Now we're going to be very careful with this next move. Listen to your beloved knee. Let's look at our knees and say, I love you. I see you. I respect and I'm listening to you. Okay, so you're going to bend your right foot. Bring it in as close as you can to the crease of the hip and lay the top of the foot down. This is you growing a lotus. Now, for me, when I start this, my knee is up, and that's okay. Hold the left hand at the ball of the right foot. Flex the left foot. Sit up tall. Then grab the outer part of the right knee and pull it towards the chest. Pull it up. Pull it up. Can you pull it up to the chest? Then gently encourage it to drop down, but don't push. Just check it out. How's it feel going down? Can it touch the floor? Don't push. Maybe not. Then bring it up and then let it come down. If it's feeling comfortable, it might come a little farther down. Up, down. Maybe over time it starts to go even closer to the floor, maybe not. Again, the most important thing is how is the hip doing? So come on, guys. Up, down. Up, down. Take your right, some of you aren't holding the right knee. So you're pulling it up and then you're drawing it down, pulling it up. And you might just have small movements like this. It's fine. You're increasing mobility in the hip. That's good. Last one. Come up and straighten. Other side. Draw that foot in like you're holding a foot on a platter and then lay the top of the foot on the top of the thigh. But listen to the knee. Now, it may just want to stay up here. First, you draw it in towards the chest, and then just let it come down. Don't push it. Just listen. How are you doing? 2. Bring it up, down. 3, 4. Some days I don't even mess with the knee. I just do little micro movements. Other days I feel more mobile. 8, 9, and 10. Good. Straighten. Now, you are going to take your version of a comfortable cross-legged position, or zazen, or in a chair is fine. Perhaps if you feel lotus is accessible, you gently bring the right foot in, Bring the heel towards the navel. Lay it down. Other side. But don't push with the ego. This is a curiosity and a listening. Okay. Good. Just the main thing is to be safe and comfortable with the knees. Oh, this lotus position happens from the hips, not from the knees. And you might want to sit up on a cushion if you need it. All right. So now we're coming up to the top of the body and we're working our way down. Hands on the thighs. Exhale, chin down. To the right shoulder, rolling the nose up and around and down. Stay in a lateral plane. Don't throw the head back. Again, making the movement small if you need to. Listen to the body. 3. We'll do 5 reps. 4. Last one. And 5. Come around to the chest and then reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4. Relaxing the shoulders. 5. Good. Come to center. Inhale. Exhale. Take the palms. Place them at the crease of the hips. Rolling the shoulders. Forward, up, back, and down. 1. Press into the crease of that hip as you straighten the arms. Up and then bend. Up and bend. 5. 6. We're doing 10. 7. 8. 9. 10. And reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathing naturally in and out. 8, 9, and 10. We'll go right to the wrists today. Interlace the fingers right in front of the face. Relax the ridge of the shoulders down away from the ears. Sit up tall. And rotate the wrists. 1. Double time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The eyes stay with the wrist. Don't look around the room. Stay with your own experience. It's the beginning of meditation here. All these movements. And reverse. Breathe into your belly. Release tension from the face, the jaw, the shoulders, the belly. Good. Now releasing the wrists. Spiral the arms to your right and then to your left, like a helicopter. 1, 2, 4, 5. Turn the head. Let the head go. Don't hold the head stable. The head turns back. You want to get the neck into the movement also. Tapping the shoulder, tapping the kidney as you come around. Last time to the right and then to the left. Then come to center, hands on the thighs, navel, isolation movements, just the navel. Let it be small and compact, centralizing the prana towards the hara, the navel center, the central axis of the body, the central channel, starting to open. Wake up at the base. 9 and 10. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now forward and back, waving through the spine. 1. Let the head wave. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Come to center. As you come upright, inhale, raise the arms, open the eyes. If you can, look up at the hands. Then hold the breath in, chin down, holding the breath. Then wave the hands gently down as they pass in front of the face. Exhale and pack the prana down into the hara, the navel center. Again, inhale, if you can, raising the face or leave the face neutral. Hold the breath in. Bring the hands slowly down. Meditation and movement here. Then exhale, slow breath. One more time. threading your awareness with the breath and with the movement, preparing for stillness in the meditation practice, bringing the mind down into the body. Now let's slowly release the hands to the floor. Walk the hands forward. Take 5 breaths folding forward. Keeping the elbows straight, palms are flat on the floor. Bow the head. Remembering that inner bow as we opened into the space. We recall that bowing to the earth. Releasing tension with the out breath. And then slowly come up as you inhale. Our last movement will be a movement that helps to cultivate strength and heat. So we bring the hands down to the floor next to the hips. Thumbs are pointing straight ahead. Now, if you're in lotus, just watch this demo here, and then I'll show you the non-lotus folks what you'll do. So with those in lotus, what you do is you press down. As you exhale, you engage the navel, lift the hips, and lift the knees, and lift the face. Take 5 counts, and we'll do 3 rounds. Okay? So those people who can't do the lotus, no problem. You just stack the ankles one in front of the other. Same thing. Exhale as you press down, and you're just going to lift the hips. The legs stay on the ground, but you still get that nice engagement through the core, and you look up. Okay? So let's do it together. Come back to a seated position. We'll start together. Inhale. Exhale, press, and then lift in whatever way you are going to lift. 1, 2, 3. Keep breathing. 4, 5. Gently lower down. Inhale. Exhale as you begin to engage the navel back towards the tailbone, lifting, pressing. 3, 4, 5. And then lowering down. Inhale. Exhale, last time pressing, engaging the navel. You're getting the heat, the inner heat with the navel center to engage. 3, 4, 5. Exhale, lower down. Release the feet. Inhale, cross the arms. Exhale, bow. Shake it up. 2 more times. Inhale. Shake the heart and the lungs. Last time. Don't hold back. Good. Inhale. Bring the hands to your heart. Exhale, bowing. And inhale. Back up. And now take your seat. Your lotus throne. You are seated on a lotus and moon disc. And then allow your eyes to close. Make sure you're comfortable. We'll sit for about 30 minutes. Make sure you have everything you need to rest in stillness with comfort and ease. Relaxation is the most important first ingredient to any meditation practice. Seated, lying on a chair, on the floor. Listen to your body. What does your body need? And once you find that place, Begin to breathe more deeply into the belly. Take a few deep, luxurious breaths to help you arrive more fully in this moment in your body. And we'll engage with about 4 to 5 minutes of a simple pranayama practice as we begin to take one more step more deeply into this practice, ritual space of your inner life, your inner cultivation of your awareness. Pranayama can be a very helpful tool to bring the mind even to greater depths. Like before in the prior classes, we'll inhale on a count of 4. At the top of that in-breath, we'll hold for 2 counts. And then we'll exhale for 6 counts, slightly elongated exhalation, slowing that down. If it feels good to rest in that spaciousness at the end of the out-breath, then do so. I'll guide us for the first couple minutes, and then I'll leave you at your own pace. Turn off all phones and alarms, please. So let's exhale together. And we'll inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold in. 1, 2. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding in. 1, 2. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Holding. 2. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Holding. 2. Exhale. 2, 3. As you breathe out, feel like you're letting go deeper and deeper. 5, 6. Breathe in slowly. 2, 3, 4. Holding. Feel like instead of a stiffness, it's like a floating of the breath, of an arc, and then you descend. 1. Exhaling. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then a gentle resting empty, then inhale. 1. So you're rounding out the edges of the breath, finding your own rhythm. I'll leave you to your own comfortable pace, elongating, shortening, whatever's comfortable for you. Stay with the counting. You can do 3, 1, and 5 if that's better for you. Or you could do 5, 3, and 7 if you want longer counts. Release distraction with the out-breath. Continue for 2 more minutes. 2 more rounds. And then releasing control of the breath. No more lengthening, controlling, counting. Let it all go. And just breathe naturally at your own natural rhythm. But let the mind stay in union with the breath like a love story, embraced lovers. The mind one with the breath as it flows in and out. Sometimes it's nice to also stay with a certain anchor of counting to let the mind stabilize even more deeply. So we're in mindfulness of breathing terrain right now. No more controlling of the length or depth of the breath. Let it just be. And yet at the top of each inhalation, count internally from 1 to 21. And if you lose count, don't worry, just start again. We'll spend some time doing this, threading the eye of the needle of mindfulness, being with the breath intimately, releasing tension, releasing grasping. As soon as you notice it, you can even touch it like popping a balloon, like a bubble. And then it dissolves. Return to the breath, this quality of awareness, mindfulness of the in and the outflow of the breath, counting from 1 to 21. releasing even the counting. And let yourself soften and glide even more deeply into meditation without any control of the breath, the counting, except for this gentle remembering, sati, mindfulness, to be in the moment with this breath in this body. Everything else can fall away, like scaffolding that's no longer needed, tension, obligations, planning, all of that can wait. Give yourself the gift of these last 10 minutes in silence, coming home to yourself, being in the moment with the breath, soothing the body as you breathe in and out, releasing distraction, releasing grasping, with the exhalation, letting go. And letting that light of awareness dawn and glow brighter and brighter within you. We'll sit in silence. Now for the last couple moments, let go of any effort, any technique, any notion that you are meditating. Non-meditation, just be. How does it feel to just let yourself be in the moment? No contrivance, no fixing. And then the next step is to literally let yourself lay down. Just lie down carefully, or if you want to flop like we've done in the past, you can flop, but probably better to know where you're going. And let yourself lie on your side, your back, your tummy, whatever you want. Just find a position and then totally flop. Totally let go. Sigh if you want to. Can you be a corpse? Let it all go. Now. And then now let's slowly start to come back. If you want to wiggle your toes and your fingers. And rolling over onto your right side. And then start to find your way up to a seated position again. And there's some really interesting, unconventional, you could say, maybe it's conventional, practices in the tradition I study in called Dzogchen, the Great Perfection, where you literally let yourself flop back. It's called Nelbop. Nelbop means, Nel means to rest, bop means to fall, like plop, like Nelbop. So there are these practices where you'll sit for a while. We used to set our auto timers, like set a nice little mindfulness bell, repeat, like, 24 minutes. And then it'd go bing, and we'd all just fall back. We'd set it up ahead of time so we wouldn't hit our head. Make a nice bed. And then it would just flop. And then be like a corpse. And rest for a couple minutes and then sit back up and do another 24 minutes. And then ding, flop. It really cultivates a wonderful quality of awareness. And you could do it, you could set the timer for every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 24 minutes. You try it at home. Notice how it affects the quality of awareness. So you don't know it, but you get we can get kind of stiff when we sit. So that counterbalances that. Maybe one question from the sit before I unpack the slogan for tonight. If you have one, if not, that's fine. We can move on. No? Okay. Okay, so tonight we have slogan number 30. Who wants to read slogan number 30?
Don't be so predictable.
Louder.
Don't be so predictable.
Say it like you mean it.
Don't be so predictable.
Nice. I knew you could do it. Nice. Don't be so predictable. God, when I learned this one, I took a hold of it and I played with it so much. It's a really fun one to like repeat to yourself every day. Like, don't be so predictable. Okay, what would I do here? How can I shake it up a little bit? Not be so predictable. But there's some nuances to this. We're always coming at these one-liners, these slogans from the Dharma angle. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, it's helpful to look at the Tibetan if you can. Not everybody can do that. I can do that. But it's Zhung Zangpo Maten. Zhung Zangpo Maten. Den means to hold. Zangpo. Zhung Zang actually means like self-righteous. To hold something. So it's an interesting loose translation. Don't be so predictable as a translation from Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. So he was, he spoke English very well. So he's getting at the point here, which is from the Dharmic perspective, those of us who've been studying Lojong for a while now, you could probably answer this a little easier than the folks who are newer, because there's a certain angle that we come at from the Lojong, the mind training teaching. What do you think is just so freaking predictable? Like for most of us, what is the predictable way we tend to react, move about the world, be in this body? Just guess.
Self-grasping.
Yeah, you got it. Self-grasping. What else do people say? Ego fixation. Yes. So predictable, right? Like it's like automatic. It's actually biological too. Like I've got to preserve myself for the future species, There's a certain kind of functionality to self-clinging. But this slogan is like, don't be so predictable. Other translations which are interesting is like, don't indulge in self-righteousness. It's kind of predictable. Like, I didn't do that. I'm right and she's wrong. Or another translation is, don't be so loyal to the cause. Which is funny. Don't be so loyal to the cause. I like that. It's like, what's the cause in samsara? Ego fixation, ego establishment. The cause is constructing of this beautiful self, right? In one way, on a dualistic level. So in this sense, self-righteousness is so predictable. It's such a predictable response to challenges in the world for some. Now, not all of us, because, we're Bay Area folks. We're kind of evolved. No, I'm kidding. I was thinking about you guys. I'm like, a lot of people I'm talking to really don't have this problem as much as the average person. People out there in YouTube land, maybe you too. But we all have it. We all have certain aspects. Maybe we've made friends with it through therapy. But instead of being predictable or self-righteous or ego, fixated, and this is an interesting teaching. I'm going to give you like what the commentaries say, and then I'm going to spin off on my own thing. So just give me a couple minutes to get this out. So I've done my task of conveying the teachings to you, and then I want to give you some story. I want to have story time. So what happens when we're self-righteous? Well, somebody suffers, like others. There's some fallout, right? If I'm always right, then somebody's got to be wrong. So what they're saying is, instead of like being so self-righteous, attend closely to the circumstances under which people have lived and the causes of why they are being the way they are being. So here we're talking about challenging people. People we might feel like are our enemies, or we want to hate, or we don't agree with politically, or family members who challenge us, or in-laws, people were like, we want to judge them. We don't like them. Maybe we disagree with them. But maturity and being in relationship with the world is often a compromise or even an invitation to try to have a greater degree of understanding about what brings them to behave in the way that they're behaving, right? So we're trying to exchange ourselves for others in the sense of putting ourselves in the other's shoe. Okay, well, I wouldn't do that, but maybe I can see why they would do this thing. I mean, we see political situations all the time. I mean, right now, what's happening in the Middle East, it is complicated, right? And it really requires people, diplomats, hopefully, to be able to put themselves in other people's shoes and understand, oh, okay, this is why they're being like this. Okay, well, this is why they're being like this, and them, and how the repercussions are so complex. But we can only have kind of like peace and a quality of understanding if we can put ourselves in the other people's shoes. It's very much a mind training practice. So rather than having self-righteous indignation about these people out there or my spouse or whoever, I don't have a spouse anymore. I'm divorced, but you know what I'm saying. Maybe try to just put yourself in their shoes for a second. What brought them to be the way that they are right now? Consider their circumstances and their history. And then consider our own history, especially in relationship to the Dharma, right? Understanding that any good that we've cultivated in our life, that's come from something. What does that come from? It's come from kindness, from generosity, from practicing mindfulness, being conscientious, being a loving person. If you understand karma, or the law of cause and effect, we understand that every action has a reaction, that the cause gives rise to effects. So if we would like to have positive effects, then we behave in ways that are harmonious and beneficial for ourselves and others. And also, the goodness that we experience in our spiritual practice comes from our guidance and kindness, inspiration from our teachers, right? People who have guided us. So remembering that, we did that at the beginning of the class, give thanks. So they say that gratitude takes the wind out of the sails of self-righteousness or self-clinging. Just be a little bit of more humility and gratitude for what brought us here. Okay, so now I want to tell some stories because I'm thinking, don't be so predictable. We can have so much fun with this, because also another sign of maturity in the Dharma world practice in our own life is playfulness, right? Beginner's mind, being spontaneous, not being predictable. Some of the greatest teachers are like children. They surprise you. Suzuki Roshi, one of the great Zen teachers who came to the West, founded Green Gulch Zen Center, San Francisco, Tassajara. Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, he wrote that classic book. I love this story. The story goes that at every teaching, he would on purpose put on his clothes a little wrong, or like have something, like the images look like have toilet paper trailing behind his shoe or something silly that made it obvious that he's not perfect, right? His Zen is so kind of buttoned up, so just so, right? So strict, discipline. But if there's just a little thing that's askew, that's perfection in a way. And so this playfulness, this shows that you're not fixated on your ego, posturing, trying to be something special. And look at the Dalai Lama. He's so playful. He's so goofy, You probably can think of other teachers and people you've seen in your life. So I have a couple stories. There's a really great story that I love, and it's so unconventional, and it's a beautiful teaching, which is of the great teacher Milarepa, who is really like the most famous yogi saint of Tibet. He has a great story. If you don't know it, I suggest reading it. There's biographies of Milarepa. But one of the stories goes that he lived in the mountains. He lived in a cave. All he had was a white cotton shawl for clothing. And Tibet is cold, high. I think the average, I'm a little foggy on my memory, but like the average elevation is around 15,000 feet, I think, maybe 14. So winters are cold. So you only survive like that, knowing the inner heat practices of Tummo, Tsalung, the yoga practice where you can melt snow around you. You don't need clothes. So he perfected those practices. He was a great, great yogi practitioner. And he had some students. He didn't travel around looking for fame or students, but people would come to him, ask for teachings. And over time, he had a small group of students who were progressing along the path under his guidance. One of the most prominent of his students was Gyalwa Gampopa. Gampopa is his name, and he's one of his main lineage holders. This is the Kagyut lineage of the oral lineage of Tibetan Buddhism. And the story goes that there came a time when Milarepa was quite old, and he was growing weary of the world and of being a teacher and being responsible. So he decided that he was going to leave his hermitage and go be a wandering kind of not saint, but like a ascetic or like a sadhu in Tibet. But sadhu is an Indian name. And his students obviously didn't want him to leave, but he gave them parting advice. He told them they were cooked, they were ready, and they should go off and cultivate their own communities and teach their own students. And at this time, Milarepa had packed up his small bag and began to walk down the mountain, and Gampopa walked with him, saying, "I don't know what I'm going to do without you. Please don't leave me." And Milarepa said, "You'll be fine. You've learned everything that I have to give. Just practice." And Gampopa said, "Well, please leave me with one parting teaching that I can take with me and remember you by." And Milarepa, he was about to cross a river. There were all these rocks around the riverbed. And Milarepa said, "Okay." He turned around, lifted up his yogi skirt, and showed Gampopa his bare ass. And it was like tough as leather, calluses on it. And he said, "You see this? This is what you need to do in order to reach enlightenment. You need to sit, stay, put the time in," basically is what he was saying. So that was Milarepa's last practical advice he shared with his disciple Gampopa. And here's another story. Another one. What I love about one of the reasons I fell in love with Tibetan Buddhism is the stories of these great practitioners who just didn't give a shit. They perfected the "don't be predictable" slogan. Playful, wild, unpredictable, iconoclastic. And okay, I want to read you from this really great book called Enlightened Vagabond. It's the life and teachings of Patrul Rinpoche. Patrul Rinpoche was one of the greatest Tibetan teachers within the last couple hundred years. I believe he was alive in the 1700s, late 1700s, I believe. And he is famous for writing many, many texts. His primary teaching was The Way of the Bodhisattva, classic text by the great Shantideva. He taught it hundreds of times. And then he's also very famous for this text called the Words of My Perfect Teacher. The teacher-student relationship is very, very important in Tibetan Buddhism and in Tantra, because Tantra is not something you can just understand by reading in a book and then going off and practicing. You need the instructions of the teacher and the blessings of the teacher. It's the mouth to ear, the oral lineage, right? And so the Words of My Perfect Teacher is celebrating and conveying the teachings of his teacher, of course. And it became so widely read and practiced that Patrul Rinpoche became also very famous, not only for his teachings and his writings, but for his unpredictable behavior. And this story, I just finished the book, and this is one of my favorite stories. I'm going to condense it. It's a couple pages. This book is great because it just has a lot of little vignettes of these wild things that Patrul Rinpoche would do. He hated formalities. Any kind of pomp and circumstance, he completely rejected. He was very humble. And so this story goes that one day Patrul Rinpoche, or Patrul they call him here in the book, decided to go to a certain area called Katok to do practice. So he left his students behind and he went wandering, told them, don't follow me. And he wanted to practice in this area because it was very well known for sacred stupas and temples. And so he traveled to this area, and he was just wearing shabby, like nomad yogi clothing. Nobody could tell he was special. It says, a few people noticed this shabby nomad lama stopping at each stupa, sticking his head inside and saying a few words. Beyond that, there was nothing out of the ordinary about him. When he first arrived in Katok, this is eastern Tibet, Patrul stayed with an old lama from Gyalrong. And I've been to Gyalrong, by the way. So the other reason I love the story is I can picture where it is, beautiful valleys, eastern Tibet. So this lama asked where he was from, and Patrul told him that he was from Zachuka. He said that he was doing pilgrimage at the Kumbum temple to receive the blessings of this sacred place. And this Gyalrong lama said, have you had any Dharma teachings? And Patrul replied, not much. I've received the way of the Bodhisattva and a few other teachings, but that's about it. His host said to him, you seem intent upon virtue. Since you came here from so far away, you must be something of a diligent practitioner. If I were to teach you some Dharma, would you be interested? Oh, Patrul said, this is like an exclamation point. Of course, I'd be interested. Who doesn't need Dharma? That Lama said, there's a teaching called Kunzang Lame Shelung, the words of my perfect teacher. That's his book. By the great Za Patrul Rinpoche, said the old Lama. This wonderful text explains the preliminary practices and is very well known here. It will certainly help you a lot. Otherwise, if you make prayers and circumambulate the stupas, but do so without the correct attitude and understanding, all your effort won't result in much benefit. So the sweet thing is, Islam is saying good thing. You know, he's saying the right thing. He's not a charlatan. Adzi, exclaimed Patrul. Truly, I need to know these teachings. Please be kind enough to grant them to me. He suckered this guy in. So day after day and chapter by chapter, the old Gyalrong Lama taught Patrul the Kunzang Lame Shelung, the words of my perfect teacher text. From time to time, the apparently naive and illiterate Patrul would pose quite deep questions about the meaning of the text. The Lama was puzzled to hear this simple person making such incisive comments. After the old Lama was halfway through teaching the text, Patrul moved from the home of the Gyalrong Lama and went to stay next door with an old woman. Every day in the morning, Patrul would go out and circumambulate the stupas. Every day afternoon, he would go over to the Gyalrong Lama's place to receive teachings. Every night at dusk, he would return to the old woman's home. While she was making tea in the evening, the old woman, who had heard about Patrul Rinpoche and was devoted to him, could be heard making fervent prayers of supplication, saying, "Think of me, Patrul Rinpoche. I am in your hands." Tibetans are very devoted, very devoted. It's beautiful. One night, Patrul said to his hostess, "Old mother, there are many sublime beings throughout Tibet. Right here in Katok, many realized lamas have appeared in the past. Many high lamas are living here now. Why do you keep on supplicating this Patrul? Is he especially venerable or something?" The old woman replied, "Oh yes, There's no one more saintly than him these days. Many people in Katok follow his teachings on the preliminary practices. Even I have heard those teachings. He's just going on and on with this. The old woman, moved by faith, she folded her hands together in a gesture of respect. But that didn't stop the mischievous patrol. If you ask me, he went on provocatively, I think this patrol of yours has an inflated reputation. He's probably just another one of those old nomad lamas with nothing especially great or precious about him at all. What an evil mind you have, she scolded him. How could you have such perverted thoughts about Patrol Rinpoche, calling him just another ordinary nomad lama? You simply lack the good karma to see him as the Buddha in person. Patrol said nothing more. Not long after that, this is what's so funny. Okay, so not long after that, some pilgrims from Zachuca, his home, arrived at Katok to circumambulate the stupas and saw a shabby nomad lama circumambulating the stupas as well. Being his fellow countrymen, the pilgrims immediately recognized Patrol, exclaiming with delight, Abu, that means uncle, Abu is here. They all began bowing down to him in reverence. Patrol was not happy at all about this. He scolded the Zachukpa pilgrims, saying, until now I have been able to live here quietly, circumambulating and accumulating some merit. Now, with absolutely no need to have done so, you've gone and blabbed to everyone saying, Patrol is here, Patrol is here. That will put an end to my tranquility. Exactly as he had predicted, in no time at all, the rumor spread over Katok that the great Patrol Rinpoche had arrived, although no one could say for certain where he actually was to be found. When Patrol came to the old lama's home to receive his afternoon teachings as usual, the lama said to him with excitement, hey, everyone's saying that Patrol Rinpoche is here. Patrol Rinpoche has come in person. Patrol showed no excitement at this news. That day at dusk, as usual, Patrol returned to the home of the old lady. She too said to him with excitement, Patrol Rinpoche is here. Can you imagine? You don't need to get all worked up, scoffed Patrol. What's so special about this Patrol Rinpoche? He's just an ordinary nomad lama. You'd be much better off supplicating the great lamas of Katok. The old woman became very upset again, almost to the point of wanting to give Patrol a good beating. She scolded him sharply, saying, you miserable creature, how dare you say such things? Even if Patrol Rinpoche, the Buddha in person, came right to your door, you wouldn't feel any devotion. You'd just dismiss him as an old nomad lama. What a wretched fellow. Patrol said nothing. Not long after this, Patrol was finally tracked down. The two high lamas of Katok, Drime Shinkyong and Katok Situ, formally invited him to teach the way of the Bodhisattva at Katok Monastery. The devout old woman heard this news and was overjoyed that at last she would meet the saint to whom she had for so long addressed her supplication prayers. The next morning, the gong rang to summon everyone to the teachings. Patrol left the old woman's house at the usual time in the morning, presumably going for his usual circumambulations. The old woman hurried off to the monastery. There, sitting on the teaching throne, she saw the shabby nomad lama to whom she had been giving hospitality for some time. Overwhelmed with shame, she began to prostrate at Patrol's feet, crying, what bad karma I have accumulated. I've been scolding you, coming close to beating you up. I'll probably be reborn in hell. Please accept my confession. Whatever you tell me to do to purify my evil acts, I'll do. There's nothing wrong, Patrol kindly assured her, and there's no need for you to confess anything. Don't worry, you have a pure mind. A good heart is the root of all dharma. In fact, it is the very essence of the way of the Bodhisattva, which I am teaching now. That's all that anyone needs. Patrol began to teach, and as he did, the old Gyalrong Lama, too, realized that his very faithful student, the shabby nomad Lama, to whom he had been explaining the words of my perfect teacher day after day and chapter by chapter, was none other than its author, Patrul Rinpoche. The poor Lama felt so abashed that, without a word, he left overnight for his native Gyalmo Rong, his homeland, before Patrul or anyone else could stop him. It's a sad ending. I thought about this. And what do you think about? I mean, I want to hear from you, really. I thought about that ending a lot. Could have been a better ending, Could have been a better ending. I think the Gyalrong Lama was wonderful. I thought he did a great job. And if he could have been like the woman and said, oh, this was really a great joke, even better, it would have showed his realization, ha, funny. It could have been a very sweet moment, but instead, I think there's a little bit of ego clinging there with the old Lama, right? Do you see that? A little bit of a little ego. Maybe. I mean, and then in a way, I was thinking, I'll leave this up to you for a couple minutes and then we'll close. But then in a way, I was like, but I can't blame him. It's probably really embarrassing. I have a lot of shame. Maybe he just couldn't handle it. Wouldn't it be great if later on in the book, there was a story of them reuniting and having a good laugh? Okay, I had to read that. I just love that story for so many reasons. Such a playful, wild, unconventional teacher who really liked his freedom. He didn't like the fame, the prison of fame. So I'd love to hear from you in the last couple minutes. Don't be so predictable. Do you see any modern day Dharma teachers acting like that? No, they're posting on Instagram all the time. Guilty as charged, oh God. Self-making. It's a strange time we're in. What do you think, huh? I want to hear from you. I've been talking all night. Eric.
The guy's embarrassed to the point of you didn't take action on it. Is there any way that there can be embarrassment that isn't selfing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can feel it, but if you're so drawn to and replace embarrassment with anything, right? Anger.
Yeah.
That's why you can't control what arises. But
totally. We can control what arises. Absolutely. Yeah. But it's just the second arrow. What do we do next with it?
Right. I don't know.
Yeah. What would you have done if you were Gyalrong Lama?
I embarrass myself pretty often. I'll probably do it right now. I'll probably be in my car contemplating something that I said to you or to Kevin or something.
Isn't it funny we do that?
Show up every week still.
Totally. We've got to have a sense of humor. It's all fucked up. We always stumble and put our foot in our mouth, right? I go home and you're like, what the fuck did I just talk about today? Oh my God, they probably think I'm an idiot. I do that. But do we have to believe all that? Right? We can have those thoughts. Even the Buddha had pain and anger and feelings, but he didn't cling. He didn't self it. He didn't turn it into something. We will have, though, we can't control that, but we can train how to not be so sticky with it. Someone else. Someone who hasn't spoken. Yes.
The main thing I got from that, or one of the main things, was that it's not about the teacher, it's about the teachings. And if you put everything into the teacher and make it about that, then you're not, the teacher is just pointing the way. And then you're not
Yeah.
Figure out wisdom.
Yeah.
So, that was one of his teachings too. It's not about me.
Yes. That's great. That's beautiful. Yeah, really, he said the only thing he wants to teach is the way of the Bodhisattva. It's an old Mahayana text from India. He taught other things too. But it was always about the teaching. He didn't want. If some Lama came with pomp and circumstances, often they'd come with lots of horses and brocades and a throne, and he'd like make fun of them. He was mean. He would actually be mean. You know what I mean? He was fearless. He didn't give a shit. Don't you want to be like that sometimes or all the time? Like, who would you be if you didn't care? You wouldn't be that predictable, right? You'd surprise people. But we have to care. Obviously, we don't want to be mean. We don't want to be mean-hearted. But it's a beautiful, actually, dance to do. Like, how can I be wild and free, but also be loving and conscientious, kind? We can do that. We can do that. But sometimes, like with a teacher like him, who's very realized, he could be mean, but in a way that was a teaching, right? Whereas if the average person is mean, maybe it's a teaching by mistake. But it's okay. One more person. Yes.
This is something that I think I guess I haven't figured out how to like incorporate in my own life. Because whenever I like feel playful and like act on it, sometimes it goes fine and sometimes it feels playful and like captures all of like the I don't know, virtue and playfulness.
Mm-hmm.
But other times it veers into like conceit, or like I'll like say something that like will be dismissive of somebody. Or, like, I'm just less mindful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how. It feels like it's intention. This like it being playful.
That's
and
it.
Being mindful, and I can't make sense of that.
It's intention. You just made sense of it. It's your intention. That doesn't mean it will always land. Like if you have a good intention, it's always going to land just right. But it's more likely to. And if it doesn't, you can apologize. The heart was there. I mean, that's the Buddhist teachings say, especially in Mahayana Vajrayana, the shift goes from abiding by all the rules to what is the intention behind the action. Even if you break the rule, well, what was if the intention was good, it's okay to break the rule. So they loosen up a little bit from the structure. So you nailed it. It's the intention. And what intention? Compassion. Compassion. Bodhicitta. Bodhisattva. That's the way of the Bodhisattva's teaching. How do we act with more? How do we move through our life and our practice and our world, our relationships with that compassionate intention? So then what your play, your speech, everything you do, hopefully will be felt also, will be received in the way that it's intended. And if it doesn't, then you make amends. You have to learn how to apologize. Yeah, it's about intention. Yeah. And when we're more free, it encourages other people to be free. It's like we're it's a good gift to give people that playfulness. But not out of, sometimes it's mean, right? Not that kind. Okay. This book, you might enjoy this book. Some stories are better than others in here, little anecdotes. That was one of my faves. There are other really great ones. It really gives you a window into kind of like natural dharma, and the way things were before the Chinese communist invasion and the diaspora. It's still like that to a certain extent, but not as free. Okay, let's go ahead and close by dedicating any positive juice, any positive energy that we've cultivated as a community, a temporary mandala, you could say, of practitioners, journeyers on this path. May we offer this energy, this positive merit up for the benefit of all beings everywhere, like a drop of water releasing into the vast ocean of goodness, bodhicitta. May it spread and be infinite, even moving into those areas of darkness, of great need. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings never be separated from the supreme joy that is beyond all sorrow. And may all beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Thank you, everybody. So there's tea in the lobby. Feel free to help yourself to tea and connect with community if you wish. Yeah, Hannah's our hostess with the mostest. Do we need volunteers and stuff like that? I haven't heard you announce that for a while. If anybody's interested in being a part of the community.
We actually
Yeah.
have a volunteer training on Thursday at 5 o'clock, so right before the Michael Taft sit, from 5 to 6, if you want to come and do like an orientation. I'm in the process for volunteering here. That'll be happening on Thursday. You can sign up on the Eventbrite. It's free, obviously.
You have to pay to volunteer. Such a privilege. Awesome, thanks. You can keep these handouts or give them back to Hannah as you leave.